Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelly Fox. Each week, Kelly will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelly Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelly each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hi there, and welcome to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. And what do the planets have in store for us this week? Well, what a big week it is. And astrologically, there are a lot of big shifts and changes happening this week as we have 3 planets changing sign. And those planets are Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So the 3 most inner planets to the sun, and they're all changing sign. So the inner planets are the most personal planets, and so we will all be feeling the effects of the changes. And of course, I won't talk about anything that's going on in U.S. politics at the moment, but it's interesting that we have lots of shifts and changes this week. And the first, and I like to always do the astrological influences in chronological order, which makes sense, of course, and most important. And so the first shift that we have is action planet Mars, and Mars is also the planet of passion, and passion not just in an intimate way, but what we feel most passionate about. Mars is also the planet of aggression and assertion. I'm expecting this week that we may see a lot of both. With the shift of Mars changing sign from Capricorn to Aquarius. So it's an interesting shift because Mars moving into Aquarius on Tuesday, November the 8th, where it will stay until December 19th. And so Mars in Aquarius is good for the air signs and anybody that has planets in air signs, and that's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So Mars in Aquarius is a very interesting influence because, as I said, Mars is the planet of action and assertion. It's aggression. It's passion. It's what drives and motivates us. And Aquarius is the sign of democracy. It's the sign of everyone being equal. It's the sign of things that level us out. So we're all humanitarian at this time. We're all thinking about the other. It's an interesting time for Mars to be moving into Aquarius tomorrow with, of course, the US election, presidential election. And so when Mars is in Aquarius, and of course this does depend on how this influence affects your birth chart, and if you have anything in Aquarius, that's always a good place to start to see if Mars will be affecting you. Or if you have anything in an air sign, not just the sun, but any of the other planets in an air sign, this is good news for you. But when Mars is in Aquarius, this is all about asserting your independence and individuality. And many of us will long to break free from other people's expectations. We might want to experiment with expressing more of our authentic self. And some of us might even want to be flying our freak flags at this time. It's like that we want to really show that we're all unique and we're all different, and we can all come together, and together we make a stronger group than operating individually or separately. And it's really what this country in the US here is based on, is the melting pot. So when I think of Mars in Aquarius, I think of this as the melting pot. We've all come together. We all form a band of Americans and who we are from all different places. And I know in this country, being an immigrant myself, that it prides itself on immigration and the melting pot and who we are and what we band together to do and to be. And that's Mars in Aquarius. And, with Mars in Aquarius, it is about breaking free from other people's expectations. And we want to experiment with expressing more of who we are as individuals and being authentic and true to ourselves. That's going to be really important over the next few weeks while Mars is in Aquarius until December 19th. And as I said, some of us really might take that to the extreme and be flying our freak flags. What does that mean? Well, we might not be as fearful as letting our eccentricities show at this time. It's like the more weird and wacky we are, the more wonderful we become. And also when Mars is in Aquarius, many of us, particularly the fixed signs, and that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, will probably really strongly dislike being told what to do. And if you have any authority issues, as some of us do, they are likely to appear at this time when Mars is in Aquarius. And some of us need to be careful because we may get into some hot water if we do have authority issues with Mars being in Aquarius. Also, this influence will bring out our rebellious impulses, and are most effective. They will be most effective when we can channel them into something that's more productive. Aquarius is a sign of the humanitarian, so anything that might be a volunteer project or a humanitarian cause is a good use of this energy of Mars in Aquarius. And instead of being rebellious just for the sake of it, breaking the rules, sort of channel that energy into something more productive. It's like if we can relax our insistence on doing things our own way, we can be effective and inspiring and a great team player. Aquarius is a sign of all about we're all equal, we're all helping the other, so it's a good time to be a team player. We might also feel revitalized when we take action that benefits the collective and serves the greater good. So during the next few weeks, it would be good to, when making decisions or making changes or putting plans into action, think about how it affects other people, and not necessarily people you know, It's more about how is this going to affect my community on a local level and even perhaps on a global scale. So also under this influence, our energies might be drawn toward the future because Aquarius is a very futuristic sign. Aquarians are known as innovators, and I also think of like the mad scientist in the back room coming up with concoctions and potions and that type of thing. So thinking about the future and during this time, many of us might have little patience for following traditions or even doing things a certain way because that's just how it's been done. This is an excellent time to try new things, to think outside the box, to colour outside the lines when Mars is in Aquarius. It's a time for being innovative and thinking ahead. It's a great time for technology, for any sort of thing that seems crazy and out there. This is the time to sort of do it. We've got a gift for innovation, as I said, and many of us may get flashes of brilliant ideas that seemingly come out of nowhere. That's when Mars is in Aquarius, and it's not just ideas, it's actually implementing the ideas or putting action to these ideas. It's not just about sitting there and pontificating. It's more about coming up with these brilliant ideas and getting them implemented or getting them moving along. So it goes from theory to actually a concept. So if you're working on a team and brainstorming, this is a wonderful, wonderful influence for making things happen that might be a little bit different. So if you have any brilliant flashes of insight at this time, be sure to write these inspirations down before they disappear. We're going to take a short break. After the break, I will continue with the changes happening this week, so stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, talking about the planetary changes this week, and we have a few. It's pretty unusual to have 3 planets changing signs in a week. It's not unheard of, but it's not common either. So We have Mercury, Venus, and Mars changing sign, moving into different signs. Before the break, I just talked about Mars moving into Aquarius tomorrow, where it will be until December 19th. Interesting timing, given the political scape of the US this week, having 3 planets changing sign. People are very action-oriented at this time and taking things very personally. This is a very deep and personal election season, presidential election of the US. And with Mars moving into Aquarius, this is a time when people want to be unique and different. It's a time when we want our voice to be heard. But we also realize, with this influence, that one vote is crucial, but all our votes are essential. It's like it'll take the team of us to get something done that we want done. With Mars in Aquarius, it's about thinking about the future, being innovative, and getting inspired, which I think a lot of people are at this time anyway. So how will Mars in Aquarius be affecting your sign? I'm going to be covering this with each time I mention Mercury and Venus. I will talk about how the change in sign will be affecting your own sun sign. So Mars in Aquarius, how will it be affecting your sign? If you're an Aries, the next few weeks, it's going to be really important to connect with friends and acquaintances, both online and offline. This is a crucial time to get things going with other people. Aries is very much a solo, independent sign, typically, but at this time, it's very important to be part of a group or part of something. Don't just operate alone. You are a natural leader, but this is a time when the playing field is leveled or equal. So just keep that in mind. If you're a Taurus, this is the time to focus on your career. With Mars in Aquarius, this is all about thinking about how to do something differently at the office or at work. Over the next few weeks, if you're a Taurus, if you can be innovative at work, this will be your time to shine. If you're a Gemini, anything to do with overseas or faraway places, even legalities or publishing or higher education, these are the topics or areas to focus on over the next few weeks when Mars is in Aquarius. If you're a Cancer, this is about money, money or shared resources with somebody else. Some astrologers call this influence unearned money, and it doesn't just mean the lotto. It just means money that is owing to you from perhaps unusual places. If you're a Leo, the next few weeks, your focus will be on your relationships, primarily your romantic relationship, your business partnership, or any type of agreements. Something's unusual because Mars in Aquarius is about being different or innovative. If you've come to a roadblock within a relationship, this is a time to look for alternative solutions if you want the relationship to continue. If you're a Virgo, this is a great time to focus on health, diet, and fitness. Your sign is the sign of health, diet, and fitness, and think about doing it in a different way. And as I said, Mars is the planet of action, so it's a time to really get moving. Get off your tush and get something done. This is a time really to gather around with other people and working together with others in a unique and different way. If you're a lucky Libra, this is a lovely time for you for romance and courtship and spending time with children and being creative, all the things that you very much like to do. If you're a Scorpio, the focus for you for the next few weeks when Mars is in Aquarius is about home and family, parents and ancestors. If you're looking to do any type of renovation or repair to the home, redecorate, this is a wonderful time to do it. And doing it, again, in a unique and different way. If you're a Sagittarius, the focus for you will be around the intellect, thought processes, learning, study, even siblings. If you're a Capricorn, this is about money and possessions that are yours and that you've earned, which is music to your ears. The typical characteristic of a Capricorn is a very hard worker who likes to see the results of their hard work. And if you're an Aquarian, Mars in Aquarius, Mars in your sign, you may find that the next few weeks are very, very busy. Lots of action, running around, just always on the go, always moving. This is a wonderful time for you to put your theories and thoughts into actual practicality and concepts. It's taking things to the next level. Anything that you've been innovating on, now is the time to implement. And finally, if you're a Pisces, what's going to be really important for you the next few weeks is the subconscious mind and intuition. Pisces is known as a very, very intuitive, even psychic sign. And what's going to be coming to you, pay attention to your dreams, any sort of, they say, gut instincts, anything like that, really pay attention to. And it might come to you, these messages might come to you in a different or unique or unusual way, something you don't usually get. So, for example, if you're used to having dreams and you get messages through your dreams, the next few weeks while Mars is in Aquarius, you may find that your psychic ability comes through different ways. I spoke to a client recently, and she had been telling me she gets information from songs, which at first I thought, wow, that sounds really unusual. And then the more that I understood it, the more fascinated I became by that piece of information. That's not usually typical or typically what I hear, but in this case, when Mars is in Aquarius, for you, Pisces, it's important to pay attention to other sources to get to channel or to get information from. So moving right along, on Friday, we have love planet Venus moving into Capricorn, where it will stay until December 7th. And this is good news for the earth signs or anybody that has planets in earth signs. And the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Venus has been in Venus has been in Sagittarius, and it's going to be moving into Capricorn on Friday. So Venus is the planet of love and money. Venus is about friendships and socializing and all things beautiful. It's a very feminine energy. But when it comes together in Capricorn, it's a bit of a mismatch. Capricorn's more serious-minded. It's more focused on career. And so when you combine those two energies, many of us might find ourselves taking a serious approach to our relationships. Venus, planet of love, coming together in Capricorn or with Capricorn. So it's definitely a great time for thinking about your future finances as well, because as I said, Venus is the planet of love and money. Capricorn is a long-term thinker. Capricorn is canny when it comes to finances and definitely financially astute. And so when Venus is in Capricorn, this is a wonderful time to think long-term finances. So if there's anything that you want to reorganize or tidy up with your finances, the next few weeks is a perfect time to do that. But back to love, because Venus is typically known as the planet of love, and that's how I always refer to it. Many of us might find ourselves with higher standards in love than normal, because Capricorn does have high standards, and Venus in Capricorn can be quite picky when it comes to matters of the heart, and not just picky, but sort of quite, what's the word? I'm thinking of somebody that has Venus in Capricorn, doesn't get too caught up in the emotions of more like I'm in love with love. It's more like I'm in love with the practicality. So when I say high standards in love, I'm thinking more of a practical decisions when it comes to love. How about that? And at this time, most of us are not really interested in short-term hookups. It's more about long-term commitment. So if you're single and you're looking, this is a good time. If you want a long-term commitment, this is a really good time to think about long-term commitments, because many other people will be thinking about long-term commitments, more than usual, more than just the casual dating. So many people during this time under this influence of Venus in Capricorn might be thinking of our relationships as investments. And in some ways, it's not a bad way to be. Of course, emotions aside, being practical is always a good thing. Going to take a short break. After the break, I will continue with Venus in Capricorn and other influences of the week. So stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, talking about the planets this week. We have a lot of changes this week, more than usual, with 3 planets changing signs, and that's Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Earlier in the show, I talked about Mars in Aquarius, where it will be until December 19th. What that means, it's all about being innovative and humanitarian. And just before the break, I was talking about love planet Venus moving into Capricorn on Friday, where it will be until December 7th. And when it comes to love, matters of the heart, when Venus is in Capricorn, it's all about being practical. We're not getting carried away and skipping through the tulips and jumping over rainbows and looking at unicorns, and that's all nice, but it's more about practicality. And so, as I just said, which I thought was pretty good, we might be reviewing our relationships as investments. And if you're single out there on the dating scene and you're looking for a relationship, it's a time to be practical about it. It's a time to really think through long term and where we want to spend our time, rather than wasting energy on connections that won't pay off in the long run. Some might think this is cold and calculating, but really it's more about being practical, which I don't think is such a bad thing. And during this time when Venus is in Capricorn, many of us might be more cautious in love, maybe even holding back our affections for fear of rejection, which is not uncommon, but more so during this transit. And on the shadow side, because astrology highlights, of course, the positives and the not so positives, which we call the shadow side, some of us might be finding that we feel a little bit more insecure about our desirability. And the best use, if this does come up for you during this time, because Venus in Capricorn is a little bit meek and mild, a little bit insecure, because Venus and Capricorn don't typically go very well together, because we have all the planets in different signs, and the planets have their favorite signs and their not so favorite signs. And Venus in Capricorn, Capricorn's not really one of Venus's favorite signs. It's a bit of a challenge, and that might be reflected to some of us. And of course, all of this depends where this falls in your natal chart or your astrology chart, of course. But if you're willing to face your fears around relationships and work through them, this is a good time to do that. So the key word here when Venus is in Capricorn is all about long-term or thinking commitment when it's around relationships. And if you're willing to face your fears and work through them with any issues you may have in relationships, you could strengthen your confidence in the long run if you're willing to put the work in now. And if you're in a relationship, your feeling of commitment may be strong at this time with Venus in Capricorn. And if you do have any issues that need resolving, and of course I'm sure most of us do, because there's no such thing as a perfect relationship, this is the time to definitely be working on those issues to resolve them and to improve your relationship. If you want to have a long-term relationship, you want your relationship to continue, this is a great time to do that. What do you work, and think of the shared goals, like what are you working toward together, and what can you do to improve what you want, like what's your 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan around not just the relationship itself, but what you want together as a couple or even as a family. And also, as I mentioned, Venus is the planet of love and money. So anything around money or finances at this time, many of us will be taking a cautious approach toward our finances and avoid taking any risky ventures or making any frivolous purchases. This is a time to be serious. It's not a time to be goofing off or to be casually dating. It's really a time to think through what we really want. So it's definitely not a time for impulse shopping. Many of us will value high-quality items that serve a practical purpose. So that's pretty good news if you're looking to do holiday shopping. Buying our friends and family practical gifts. I do like the sound of that. Practical gifts, and we have time to think through it. Actually, yes, a word on that. It's good to get your holiday shopping done early this year, because I am jumping ahead of myself and I am changing the subject, but Mercury will be retrograde during the holiday season. And those dates, now that I'm changing the subject here completely, but I don't want everyone to freak out about Mercury retrograde, but Mercury turns retrograde on December 19th, right when many of us are scrambling to buy those last-minute gifts. So this will entice you to not do that this year. And with Venus in Capricorn, what I was talking about, Venus in Capricorn, it's a perfect time to buy holiday gifts through December 7th. Get your holiday shopping done early this year because the planets will be aligned, and make use of those planetary energies and beat the Mercury retrograde. I just can't imagine the havoc that is going to cause. Anyway, back to Venus in Capricorn, which is happening this week and changing on Friday. Venus will be in Capricorn on Friday through December 7th. And it's an excellent, excellent time to start your holiday shopping, buying those, your nearest and dearest practical gifts this year. This is also a favourable time for making an investment that will pay off down the road. So keep thinking long-term and into the future for anything financial or a commitment in a relationship. How will Venus in Capricorn be affecting your sign? And I'll whiz through these quickly because I covered it with Mars in Aquarius, and now this is Venus in Capricorn. If you're an Aries, this is a great time the next few weeks for career and status. And if you're looking for a pay raise, perhaps this is the time to ask. If you're a Taurus, this is about anything overseas, legalities, publishing, higher education. If you're a Gemini, this is about money, so that's good for you, shared money in particular. If you're a Cancer, this is about marriage, partnerships, business partnerships, and agreements. This is a nice time, very nice time for you when love planet Venus is in your opposite sign, because people at this time will be more receptive to you. So this is a very nice time for matters of the heart. If you're a Leo, focus on your health, diet, and fitness. You'll actually enjoy working out at this time. If you're a Virgo, very nice romance, courtship, creativity, and children. If you're a Libra, this is very nice for you, home, family. If you're looking to make any sort of real estate purchase, this is the time to do it through December 7th. If you're a Scorpio, this is about thought and intellectual, any sort of processes or communication, siblings and neighbours. If you're a Sagittarius, the good news for you, this is about spending and saving money. Money might come to you at this time. It's best to have a long-term plan around it and not just let it go straight out the door again. If you're a Capricorn, this is about your appearance. If you're looking to change your wardrobe, get a new hairstyle, or anything that might alter your appearance, now is the time to do it while Venus is in your sign. If you're an Aquarius, this is about larger institutions, any sort of dealings with large organizations. Now is the time to do it. And finally, if you're a Pisces, when Venus is in Capricorn, this is a wonderful time for you to spend with friends and acquaintances, groups. friends will provide some really wonderful support and be there for you in the long term. Okay, moving right along. On Saturday, we have communication planet Mercury moving into Sagittarius, where it will be until December 2nd. So Mercury is a planet of the mind and communication, and Sagittarius is the sign of the philosopher. So it's going to be big picture thinking. These three planets that are changing sign this week, it's looking like it's a wonderful time for not just brainstorming, but being innovative and trying new approaches with a team or a group of people and actually getting it implemented and working for the long term. So any sort of changes we're looking to make this week with these three planets changing sign is all about change. So while Mercury is in Sagittarius, where it will be until December 2nd, this is a time to broaden our worldview and explore a variety of subjects that we might not be that familiar with. There'll be an urge to expose ourselves to new ideas and perspectives, particularly of a philosophical nature, because Sagittarius is the sign of the philosopher. Many of us might be asking ourselves life's big questions and wondering, what does it all mean? What is the meaning of life? I don't have enough time to answer that, and I don't even think I know the answer. When Mercury's in Sagittarius, nitpicking details, facts and figures are totally boring. It's going to be really hard to focus for anybody particularly that doesn't have any Virgo planets that's really good with detail, to focus on any sort of detail. So if there's any detailed work that's coming up for you and you can put it aside until mid-December on, but then again Mercury turns retrograde, so there really never is a good time for the remainder of the year for any sort of detail. But let's look at that after the break. We're going to take a short break, so stay tuned, and after the break I will continue with this week's planetary energies.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, and, of course, companionship. Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance so common with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, talking about this week's planetary energies. And we have three planets changing signs this week, and that's Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Earlier in the show, I talked about Mars moving into Aquarius, where it would stay until December 19th. We have Venus moving into Capricorn, where it will be until December 7th. And just before the break, I was talking about communication planet Mercury moving into Sagittarius on Saturday, where it will be until December 2nd. So when Mercury, planet of the mind, hooks up with Sagittarius, Sagittarius is a sign of the philosopher and big ideals. It's not necessarily about facts and figures and details and the mundane, which many of us during this influence might find a little bit tedious. It might be best, sort of say this with a grain of salt as well, but many of us might, I was going to say, it might be best to make decisions based on intuition, but that's really not, no, ignore that. Many of us might make decisions based on intuition rather than logic or analysis. I'm not saying that's good or bad, it's just the way that it is. But this is an excellent time when Mercury's in Sag to focus on our ideal vision for the future. Now, that goes really well with Mars in Aquarius because it's all futuristic and visionary and innovative. So those two energies really go well together, although not so favourable for figuring out the steps to get there. Again, this is about detail. It's not so great for detail with this influence. You know, the planning and practicality can come later, but the good news is with Venus in Capricorn, Capricorn's a very practical sign. It's all about practicality. So you've got a pinch of practicality in there in this mix with these three planets changing sign. When Mercury's in Sagittarius, it's more about optimistic thinking and faith in positive outcomes, really, that characterises this transit. Also with Mercury in Sagittarius, many of us, and I'm thinking one of my clients in particular, she has Mercury in Sagittarius, and she is a very entertaining storyteller. And I'm saying storyteller meaning she holds lots of people's attention and mine during a reading. I'm usually laughing. Some though might have a tendency to tell tall tales because Sagittarius is a sign that is known for its sense of humour. Anything to get a laugh. So some during this transit of Mercury in Sagittarius might make broad generalised statements that we might not be able to back up with hard evidence. The key here is to not be arrogant and think that our truth is the only one. But it's not so bad because many will be forgiven if there's a tall tale or our truth is the only one because I think others would understand that our truth comes from a place of generosity and idealism under this influence. So the other thing with this influence with Mercury in Sagittarius, it's about travel. And faraway places will appeal to many people when Mercury's in Sag. And so this might be a time to think about learning a new language skill or learning about a different culture, trying a different cuisine, or even booking travel during this time. So a quick look on how Mercury in Sag will be affecting your sign. If you're an Aries, this is about travel and faraway places, and if you have anything in mind, book it now. It doesn't mean you have to go now, it just means plan it for the future. If you're a Taurus, it's about money, shared money. Gemini, the focus will be on your partnerships, and if there's something that has been left unsaid, now is the time to say it. Cancer, it's about diet, fitness. You'll find that you've got a lot of energy at this time. Leo, this is about romance and courtship. Virgo, home and family. Libra, it's the intellect, thought and learning processes. If you're a Scorpio, it's about money, Sagittarius, Mercury in your own sign. People are listening. People are finally listening the next few weeks. Say what you need to say and feel heard. If you're a Capricorn, pay attention to your dreams. Aquarius, friends will be important, as they always are, but more so at this time. If you're a Pisces, this is about career and status. Speak up at work if you need to. So I've just covered the 3 planets changing sign this week. The only other astrological influence this week, not counting the moon transits, is the Sun sextiling Pluto. Now, that's really interesting on the eve of the US presidential election. Sun in Scorpio sextiling Pluto in Capricorn. Very, very powerful influence. And it's an excellent time to direct our powerful energies toward worthy endeavours. There's a lot that can be accomplished at this time because many of us have a no-nonsense ambition that drives us to work hard. Folks will be feeling strong and focused. It's a good time to recommit to projects and relationships that are already established but maybe floundering a bit. It gives us a bit of an oomph. There's a lot of strong-willed energy right now, and people can't be swayed from the tasks they've set out for themselves. There'll also be opportunities to present for activities that increase dynamic personal power. And by all means, we should take full advantage of them so we don't waste this cosmic opportunity to improve and achieve. This is all about regeneration and rebirth. We won't be able to pull the wool over anyone's eyes with this influence of the Sun sextiling Pluto because most people's perception is heightened at this time. The other thing is at this time with the Sun sextiling Pluto, strange truths might emerge. Things that have been swept under the carpet will come out. But it's not. It'll probably be one piece of a bigger puzzle, if that makes any sense. So, moving right along, here's your weekly horoscope. If you're an Aries, you're way ahead of your time this week, and that's a good thing. You might need to work hard to sell your ideas at work or in your career. Innovation and creativity open doors. So don't be afraid to be different. And you will get a boost from that with Mars moving into Aquarius. Excuse me. Mars is your ruling planet and it moves into a friendly sign. So this is a great time to be innovative. If you're a Taurus, your career or business steps up a gear or even several, fired up by ambition and powered on by early success. You're setting bold goals and you're not afraid to fail. Fantastic progress made now if you focus. If you're a Gemini, restlessness heightens frustrations this week. Think about how you could get out of your current rut. A move of house or career might just be in order, or perhaps you're longing to go back to school. Plan the changes you want. This is the week to do it. If you're a Cancer, whatever it is that's wrong in your life, fix it now. You're driven to create lasting change with a bold, brave statement of intent and a determination to leave the past behind. Your week oozes potential. If you're a Leo, be clear about your commitment to your life partner. It's time for a proposal or a wedding or for demonstrating how serious you are about your future together. If you're single, an argument with a stranger could turn interesting. Da-da-da-da. If you're a Virgo, you can't do everything, believe it or not. So focus on the most important tasks on your list. Perfectionism is your enemy. Settle for good enough and keep moving forward. Otherwise, you may struggle and stall. If you're a Libra, seek out whatever makes you smile and laugh because it's time to have fun. Try not to take work too seriously. Do your job, yes, but recognize that it doesn't define you and it shouldn't hold you back from what really matters. If you're a Scorpio, heated family arguments are possible, but you can avoid the worst of it if you take a few steps back. Be more objective when it comes to your loved ones and don't try to boss your family about. Let them lead their own lives. If you're a Sagittarius, well, nobody could accuse you of not saying what's on your mind. You're not holding back and you have every right to air your opinion. Be aware, however, that someone finds your criticism too harsh and too personal. If you're a Capricorn, it's a brilliant week for business ventures, promotions, and fixing your finances. Do whatever is necessary to create more security for yourself and your family, and avoid taking unnecessary risks with money, property, or investments. If you're an Aquarian with Mars in Aquarius, you're bursting with energy and enthusiasm. Decisive choices bring exciting results, so go with your gut instinct. Your assertiveness is improving and people are impressed with your attitude. I feel like saying for once, but I just thought that. If you're a Pisces, retreat, reflect, and guard your privacy carefully. Noisy crowds and large gatherings are not for you this week. You'll prefer solitude and peace, but you may have to get creative with your excuses for missing a social event. That's it for the astrology show for this week. Stay tuned. Tune in next week to find out how the planets will be affecting you then. Have a great week. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox.